We finally got our PPPs extended. And I've been waiting more than a month to crack that terrible joke, but the time is finally here. So the Paycheck Protection Program has been extended by the Senate. It's been completely voted in, meaning we can all rest easy knowing that this will be passed all the way. So I was monitoring C-SPAN all day yesterday, just watching this vote and just seeing what the Senate was up to, seeing if there was anything that could potentially get in the way of this darn thing being extended and take some stress off of the plates of literally millions of small business owners and solo operators and Uber drivers and independent contractors. Luckily for you, you don't have to watch C-SPAN for hours and hours and hours to know what's going on. All you have to do is watch this video. And for the sake of that, let's just go ahead and watch the last 10 seconds of this vote just so you can see exactly how it panned out. So we'll pop over to the computer.
Mr. Hawley, no.
And there we go. That's what you missed out on. That's what I spent hours waiting for. So we can see that the vote was 93 yeses to 7 noes. So this was a very strong majority to the yes. It was a very bipartisan bill, which is good for small business owners because pretty much everything small business related, at least in the Senate and in Congress, has been very bipartisan. If we remember, the very first round of the Paycheck Protection Program ran out of funding like right away within like a week or two, and Congress got together and was able to vote additional funding in something like 4 days after the funding ran out. So Congress has done a very good job of making sure that small businesses receive the funding that they need, and this was no exception to that rule because it voted almost unanimously in the House and then 93 yeses to 7 noes in the Senate, and only 60 votes were needed. So it was a very strong majority. And also, I've been holding on to this for a little while, and what better time to play a song that was made for this channel regarding the Paycheck Protection Program. This is the PPP song by New Abyss. The PPPs, the PPPs, the PPP. So there it is. All of that talent to make a PPP song for my YouTube channel. I'm honored. I am absolutely honored. I'll have his songs linked in the description below. So now let's take a look at the actual bill text so we can see the nitty-gritty details of what was passed and what we can expect next. So I'll pull back over to the computer here real quick. Okay, so we can see the short title of this act is the PPP Extension Act of 2021. If your PPP extension lasts longer than 2 months, you should see a doctor. So dumb. Okay, so we can see in general, the Paycheck Protection Program was extended from March 31st, 2021 to June 30th, 2021. However, the June 30th date is not the last day that we can apply. This is the last day of funding. So if you go to the funding section, we can see that this was amended by striking March 31st and inserting June 30th. Why this is important is it's not very well explained, but the Paycheck Protection Program expired on March 31st, but that expiration date was actually the day where the SBA needed to approve your application completely. You didn't exactly need money in your bank account yet, but they needed to have it approved. So what that means with the delays in this program, you probably had to apply a month or more before the 31st to actually hit that date. Because you put in your application, what happens is the lender does a preliminary review that takes a couple days, and then they do a more in-depth review. This can take 2 weeks, sometimes more. Then you sign a document, it gets sent over to the SBA, and this can take 2 or 3 weeks. And that was supposed to all happen before the end of March. I mean, it was nearly impossible, especially considering that they made changes to this program that lenders didn't even have official guidance to in the middle of March, when they changed the net income calculations to gross income calculations. So it would have made absolutely no sense. It would have been an absolute travesty if this thing wasn't extended, because there have been so many people who simply didn't get it funded. I mean, basically everyone who applied in March wouldn't have got funding unless this happened. So I'm very glad that this happened. As you can see, this is one of the most exciting updates I've been able to do on this channel, because it's been like my mission to make sure as many people who can qualify for this program apply and receive that sweet stimulus money. So we can see just the last section here from June 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2021, the SBA administrator shall not accept new lender applications. That's exactly what we were just saying. So you can actually apply through the end of May. To the end of May. But I do not recommend you wait that long to apply. You should still apply today and just get this mess out of the way, because there's still error codes that can come up. All the systems around the Paycheck Protection Program are completely new, and it's just much better to apply now. And if there's issues later, you're able to correct them in time, because that 2 months is going to run out in no time. And I know there's going to be people sitting there wishing that they had applied earlier when the end of May comes. So just go ahead and apply right away. Now, we did almost run into a hiccup with the passing of this bill, because Senator Marco Rubio proposed an amendment to the bill that would disallow them from putting priority on certain applications over others, which, I mean, might be a good idea, might not be a good idea. But the issue with that is, if they were to pass that amendment, which was actually gaining some steam, if they were to pass that, it would have to be passed in the Senate and then sent back to the House and then passed by Biden, which would have, of course, added time. And we're running out of time here as far as the end of the month and just number of days that Congress is in session before the end of the month. So that didn't get passed. It just got the extension passed, and it happened nice and smoothly. Now, if you're still curious about applying and you haven't yet applied, let me just give you some basic information about how easy it is to apply, especially through the lender that I've been connected with, Womply, which I have linked below. If you're an independent contractor, 1040 Schedule C worker, solo operator of any kind, basically, if you work for yourself, you're a 1040 Schedule C, unless you have elected a different kind of entity like an S Corp or something like that. But if you're a 1040 Schedule C, you can take a look at your tax returns and see what exactly you are. It is extremely easy to apply. It literally takes 5 minutes to apply. My girlfriend, she applied for it last night, and it literally took 5 minutes for her to go through the entire application, and she's never done this before. All you need is your 1040 Schedule C. It should be 2 sheets, 2 pages from your tax return. Then you'll just take your gross income, line 7. You'll use that for calculations. Make sure that your Schedule C is in PDF format. Make sure that your Social Security number or your EIN number is on the top. And you just upload that, do the calculations, connect to your online banking, and as long as you're in business before February 15th, you'll be able to get that first round of Paycheck Protection funding. For the second round, remember, you're supposed to certify that you've seen a reduction in revenue of 25% or more. Now, this is the kind of thing where you're just going to likely check a box, but legally there's that 25% reduction criteria. Now, if you're not a 1040 Schedule C, you still can apply. The application is just a little bit longer. It might take you 20 minutes to go through the whole application. So that's also linked below. You'll need some additional documentation like payroll documentation or your K-1, or however to show your earnings or your payroll and show that you were in business before February 15th. You'll likely need a voided check and an ID. Beyond that, there's not much more that you'll need. It's still very easy to apply, and you absolutely should apply as soon as possible. Also, just in a little bit of news about the EIDL program, if you're still in need of more funding for your business, they just increased the loan size of the EIDL loan portion. This isn't the $10,000 grant, this is the actual loan. So they increased that from 6 months of working capital all the way up to 24 months of working capital. So they 4x'd the amount that you could receive. The example that I gave on this is, let's say your business did $250,000 in revenue and you have $150,000 in regular operating costs. So under the old guidelines, you would have received a $75,000 loan. Now you could receive a $300,000 loan at that 3.75% interest rate. So that's something worth checking into if you still need additional funding, if you're still hurting from the pandemic. But overall, I am very excited about these changes. We still have yet to see changes with the gross income versus net income calculation. But thankfully here as well, there's also some action. So Senator Cardin said that he's going to work on the retroactivity in the future right after this thing is completely extended. That's the next area of focus. And that's the next thing that really would not make any sense unless there was some correction there. So I will keep you updated as soon as there's changes there. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on your notification bell. That way you don't miss anything. And if you have any specific PPP questions, check out our Discord. There's a whole group of people who've gone through the process and we can help each other. That'll be linked in the description as well. So I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.